Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another great edition of Lunch with Haley. My name is Todd Lewandowski. I'm a Senior Marketing Advisor here at Haley Marketing, filling in for David Cerns today. And we're really excited today for a special Lunch with Haley. Title is called Making It Rain, From Pounding the Phones to Making It Pour. And today we have a very special guest presenter with us, Jennifer Lambert. Jennifer has been in the staffing industry for over 20 years now. She is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Terra Resource Group, one of the largest privately held regional staffing firms in the Seattle area. And Terra has twice been named to Innovero's Best of Staffing list, an honor which is awarded to less than 1% of staffing firms nationwide. Jennifer herself is a member of the Pinnacle Society, a consortium of the nation's top producing recruiters. She's been featured in a number of business publications, including Selling Power magazine. And today, Jennifer is going to share with everyone the tactics that her company has taken to help warm up cold calls, fill their sales funnel, and put them on pace for a record year for new business. Now, before I hand things over to Jennifer, I just want to remind everybody that the link to the slides is over in the chat box. And there you can also pose questions to Jennifer or using the questions box. Either one will work. And at the end, we're going to take some time to review those questions that you guys are sending in. And, of course, don't forget to get onto Twitter and use the hashtag LunchWithHaley to ask any questions, share any feedback, and start your own discussions based on today's presentation. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Jennifer Lambert for today's presentation.
Thanks very much, Todd, and hello, everybody. Good morning to my friends here with me on the West Coast, and then the rest of you, it may be a different time of day, but it is very good to be with you all talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is how to bring more revenue into your business and doing it without beating yourself up in the process. I had a conversation with David Cerns this morning from Haley and Haley Marketing, and he said that we are setting a record today. So if you don't know this, you are all part of setting. I guess it's a somewhat of a record. This is the second highest attended Lunch with Haley that they have produced, which I was very excited to hear. Of course, highest would have been fine too. But this is the second highest, second only to a topic which was how to get around making cold calls, or how to get away from making cold calls. So that's very similar to what we're talking about today, how to warm up cold calls, how to bring in revenue through means other than pounding the phone. So that tells me something. If their two highest attended presentations are on this topic, it sounds like it's something that really resonates with you, and I can appreciate why. Because I'm in the same business that you are, and I certainly understand that as much as we've never loved cold calling, okay, let's be honest. I mean, if I were in a room with all of you, I'd ask you to raise your hand, and I would ask you to, how many of you love cold calling, and there would be one or two people in the room who are crazy who would raise their hand. But the rest of us, even if you're very comfortable selling, even if you're very comfortable initiating contact, the whole idea of cold calling, I mean, just the name itself isn't exactly appealing. And now what we're finding is that cold calling by itself just simply doesn't work. Now, am I saying that you should not make cold prospecting calls? No, I'm not saying that at all. And I hope you don't hear me saying that the phone is not a viable tool for developing business, because I still think it very much is. But it's not the only tool. Selling isn't what it used to be. And yes, I've been in the business for 20-plus years. I have not been around long enough that this slide here, comes from any of my own personal experience. I think this is from like the 40s, 30s or 40s. But this was the old concept of selling. This was the door-to-door, knocking on the door, selling. Then we migrated to, getting away from knocking on the door to actually just making a phone call. But selling doesn't work that way anymore. What we're finding is that, A, it's much harder to reach people directly, right? 83% or more of our calls are going to voicemail. Those voicemails are not often getting returned, and so we're having to find additional ways to make contact with prospective buyers. And that's the big idea of today's presentation, is that there are many, many channels available to you to developing new business. And just to by way of, I guess, establishing a little credibility with you on this topic, I just want to share with you just a few details about our firm, so you know that what I'm sharing with you today is not, just an idea that I had. This is actual work that we're doing in our firm. I'm going to share with you actual copies or actual screenshots of things that we're doing, actual results of things that we're doing. But we are finding that this year, we've just started measuring this year the percentage of business, new business that's coming to us through means other than outbound sales efforts. So inbound leads, people contacting us through our website or customers calling us on the phone. We are averaging over 40% so far this year of our new business has come to us. We have not had to make an outbound cold call to win these customers. Now, interestingly, what we're finding is that when we look in our CRM, that customer who has called us and says, you know, I'm not really familiar with you, but I visited your website and I liked what I saw, we go into our CRM and we see that, yeah, we've made 10, 20 calls to that same prospect, but either they didn't return the phone call or even more sadly, they don't remember the call. And so I have sad salespeople who will say, but I've been calling this person and they had a really good conversation. The reality is that prospect is reaching out to us saying they don't remember having heard from us. There's that much clutter and noise in the prospect's world when it comes to what they're hearing from staffing services. So more than 40% of our new business this year has come from inbound leads, and that is 40% of a big number. We this year are on pace to have our highest increase in new business that we've had in any year. Just, I guess, by way of comparison, we're a 6-office operation, about a $25 million firm. So that's who we are. So the pathway to the sale, this is what really kind of triggered things for me about 18 months ago or so. I had an experience where I was in the market. I was looking for a particular technology solution for our business, and in the back of my mind I was looking for. I wasn't actively looking for this, but in the back of my mind I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if I had a tool that would help me do X? And I won't bore you with what X is, but it was something I was trying to solve a business problem. And I love Twitter. Twitter is sort of, you know, for me what a cigarette break is for smokers. You know, when I have a down moment, I grab my phone and I look at Twitter, and that's how I sort of amuse myself and keep current on things that are interesting to me. So I was on Twitter, and I follow a particular a Twitter account, and there was a blog post on there. There was a guest blog post on there that was very intriguing to me. So I clicked through onto the link in Twitter, read the guest blog post, and was so intrigued by what I read there that I clicked through that blog post to the website of the person who had written that blog post. What I saw there was even more interesting to me and gave me the idea that maybe this firm could help me solve this business problem that I had. And so I downloaded a white paper from their site that addressed the specific or very related issue to what I was having. And there was a case study of how they had helped an actual customer with a very similar challenge to what I had. And then there was a contact form. If I wanted to learn more, if I wanted to get more information, I could just fill out this contact information and somebody would follow up with me. Well, almost immediately, within 20 minutes or so, I had an email in my inbox saying, when can we schedule a call? And within the hour, I was on the phone with somebody from that company, and fast forward, I mean, just in a month's time, I signed a contract with them, and I have spent close to $100,000 with this particular company, and they have helped me solve a particular business challenge I was having. So it's money that I'm happy to spend because I'm getting a good ROI on that investment. But my point in sharing with you that is that never once, okay, they have realized close to $100,000 in revenue from us, and never once did anybody call me, cold call me. It was me discovering them through these different channels that led me to reaching out to them and saying, hey, can you help me? And they have indeed helped me. And it got me to thinking, how many of my prospects are in a similar situation where they have a business problem, they have a staffing challenge, and we could be the right solution? Well, then I stumbled upon this statistic, which I think is extremely relevant for us, and I'll just read it to you. A recent corporate executive board study of more than 1,400 business customers found that those customers completed, on average, 60%, so more than half, 60% of a typical purchasing decision, researching solutions, ranking options, setting requirements, benchmarking pricing, et cetera, et cetera. They did all of this before even having a conversation with a supplier. Before even having a conversation with a supplier. Now, what does this have to do with us? What this has to do with us, and I think you're probably seeing it, is that your customer is coming to you more educated than ever before. And for those of you who are like me, you've been in the business more than a decade, and now for me more than 2 decades, I remember back in the day, we were having to sort of sell people on the concept of using staffing and why staffing was a good thing for business. And that's just not the case anymore. It's a rare situation where I find myself having to evangelize for the industry. It's now the customer who has embraced the idea of staffing. They seem to understand the mechanics, the dynamics, the pricing, a lot of the things about our business. They're coming to us more educated in sort of the same way that in the car business. Remember, it used to be you walked onto a car lot, you didn't have a clue what the car was about necessarily, what the pricing should be. Well, now the customer is showing up at the car lot with data and information, and they're coming informed. And our customer is coming to us the very same way. Not all of our customers, but increasingly I'm seeing this, and especially with those high volume users, which I know are that's sort of the cream of the market that we're all trying to draw from. And they're coming to us much more educated. What the internet has enabled our customer to do is to learn a lot more about us and to become much more educated about what we do. And so in a way, they're saying to us, don't call us, we'll call you, which at its surface sounds very negative, right? Like that's like the ultimate brush off. Don't call us, we'll call you. But the reality is they're calling. And so it can be very good news for you if they're calling. If they're not calling, then don't call us, we'll call you is very bad news. But I will tell you, as somebody who is literally getting inbound leads daily through our website and through phone calls, this is not necessarily bad news. But you have to put yourself in a position to capture and attract that sort of lead traffic, and then, of course, converting it is another story altogether, which we won't get into today necessarily. But the idea is you want to be in that stream when they do make the call that they're calling you. It's not necessarily bad news. So if your sales efforts hinge on your own outbound activity, I'll tell you, first of all, you're missing opportunities. When I tell you that more than 40%, last month it was 55% of the new clients we landed last month were from inbound leads, and these were not necessarily small companies. It used to be that if somebody called us, this is maybe 5-10 years ago, if a company called us out of the yellow pages, which don't even exist anymore, but if they called us, we almost assumed that they were not a good prospect because if they were good, somebody else would be calling them, and they wouldn't have the need to call us. It's not that way anymore. What we're finding is some of these opportunities that are coming to us are smaller companies that maybe aren't getting called by everybody, but we just closed a $15,000 or $16,000 direct hire placement fee with a company that was too small for us to probably prospect, and nobody else was prospecting them either, but they came to us through our website. That was a very lucrative phone call. We're also finding bigger customers. I just went on a meeting with a large customer who is being served by a national contract, and they're not happy with the performance of their national vendor, and so they reached out to us. They're not just small companies that nobody's heard of. You're also not working smart. I'm all about hard work. I love hard work. I'm a big fan of hard work, but I'm a bigger fan of working smart. If I can get more bang for my buck and more traction out of my effort, I'm all about that. And then you're definitely working too hard. When you look at the numbers, when you look at how many dials of the phone it takes for you to actually connect with a live person, that's a lot of calling. And again, don't hear me say we shouldn't be calling, but if that's what all your activities and your sales efforts are hinged on, you're definitely working too hard. So you need to shift your mindset a little bit from a tired way of thinking to an inspired way of thinking. From pushing, which is pushing past the gatekeeper, pushing through objections, pushing through the front door, to pulling. And by pulling, I don't mean like dragging. I'm talking more about magnetic pull, understanding that especially in this market, where there's a demand for talent and customers are recognizing that they need what we have to offer, they're already out there. We want to make sure that we're pulling them in magnetically toward us. From interruption marketing to permission marketing, I think interruption marketing sort of is self-explanatory. Cold calling is by definition an interruption. And I don't mind interrupting somebody's day, but if I can get them to ask me to call them, that's even better, right? and then from selling to helping customers buy. And I want to be clear, if I seem like I'm obsessive on this point, it's because I am. I'm proud to be a salesperson. I think selling is a noble profession. By no means do I want you to leave this webcast thinking that I'm telling you to not make phone calls, that selling is bad, that selling is out of date. This economy is driven by people who sell. I think we are in a noble, noble profession. What I'm saying when I say selling in quotes is tired, it's that the customer, when they feel sold, they don't like it as much as when they feel like you helped them buy and you empowered them to make a buying decision. And that, folks, let's be honest, that is selling, but it feels completely different to your prospective customer. So your customer is looking for you. You want to make sure that they can find you. That's one of the big first steps, is making sure that they can find you, and then making sure that you're unavoidable. Now, I would like to hope that things ended well for the deer in this picture. I'm not sure, but when you Google unavoidable, this was one of the pictures that popped up. Apparently, and hitting a deer is considered to be an unavoidable accident as far as insurance companies are concerned. And I want to put myself in a similar situation, hopefully with less fatal results, that I want to put myself in a position where everywhere my prospect turns, they're hearing my company's name. And it's happening. When we are tracking, when we say, how did you hear about us? Oftentimes they're saying, I don't know. I'm not sure where I heard about you. I just know of you. It's what marketers call top-of-mind awareness, and it kind of drives us crazy because we can't capture, was it a webcast we did, was it something we did online, was it a print piece we did? We can't necessarily pin it down to one specific investment of time or money that we made into marketing, but that's okay. I want to surround them so that everywhere they turn, they see me, and then making it easy for them to buy. I saw somebody tweet recently. They were slagging on some online retailer, and they said that they went to Amazon.com and purchased 2 things in the time it took the shopping cart on this other website to even load. That's not good, obviously. And we're not in the online retail business. We don't have a shopping cart feature per se on our website, but we do want to think like that. We want to think, how easy is it for somebody who's in the market to come, whether it be a candidate or a client, and I'm talking today more from the client side of things, but for candidates too, am I making it really easy for them to connect with me? Am I making it easy for them to buy from me? And then making it safe to raise their hand. One of the things that we discovered on our contact form, we started getting a lot of hits on our contact form, people asking us to contact them. And being salespeople, our natural instinct was to grab the phone and call them. And we found that some people got really freaked out by that. We're measuring our conversion rate from inbound contact forms to see how effective are we at actually converting these inbound leads into sales. And one of the mistakes that we made early on is that we were grabbing the phone and calling when some people really wanted us to start that conversation by email. And it goes against everything. It goes against every bone in my body to do that, but we've changed our contact form so that we now ask them, how would you prefer to be contacted? And that has actually led to better conversion rates for us. So we want to make it easy and safe for them to raise their hand without thinking they're going to get bombarded or tackled by a salesperson. So just in case you have not gotten this message so far, we are we're about 20 minutes into this webcast. Does this mean we stop calling? The answer is no. We still continue to call. That is still a viable lead channel. Just so I can make it clear one last time, we are going to use every means available to us. It's called multi-modal lead generation. And one of the modes is the phone, but it's not the only mode. So this multimodal lead generation leads to warmer leads. When people are raising their hand saying, please call me, clearly that's a warmer call than you interrupting their day. They're also less expensive. One of the things that we've started to capture here, I've really tried to understand what it costs me to win a new customer. And I'm measuring the dollars I spend on all different channels, including direct sales, including what it costs me to pay salespeople salaries and benefits and training time and just the time spent dialing the phone. And when you actually work that out, sometimes the sales that we win through that channel are actually very expensive when you look at the amount of time invested in it. So if I can find other ways to get leads that are less expensive, I'm all about that. And then clearly, people who are coming to you are more predisposed to buy. That's fairly obvious, right? When you walk into Nordstrom, their assumption is you're there to buy something. That should be their assumption, that you're there to buy something, and you can make the same assumption when somebody submits a contact form to you on your website or calls you. So the old sales funnel looks like this. The new sales funnel looks like this. This is less of a funnel and more of sort of a cloud. And I have to thank David Stearns from Haley Marketing for sharing this graphic with me. I heard him present at a conference a couple of years ago, and this was a graphic that he included in his presentation. And I remember sitting there, first of all, wondering, will there be copies of the slides? Because I desperately need this. So yes, if you haven't already seen, you can download the slides at the link that's over in the chat box. But this got my juices flowing, got my mind spinning on all the different things that we could be doing to generate leads. Phone calls, email, social media, public relations, direct mail. The list is really sort of endless. And before I continue with that, I just want to cover a couple of things that I hope you don't do, some ways that would guarantee that you would get no value out of this session. The first thing would be to get overwhelmed. I mean, if you look at this graphic here, it would be very easy. Some of you get excited when you see this. Some of you get overwhelmed. It's sort of like a buffet, right? Like I never go to a buffet because A, I never get my money's worth, and if I do get my money's worth, I wish I hadn't gotten my money's worth. I want you to think of this as a buffet of ideas, things that you could be doing. You don't have to be doing all of this. In fact, it may not be the right thing for you to do all of this. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I also don't want you to make this an all or nothing proposition. I want you to think about, what can I do incrementally? What could I start doing this month? What could I start doing this quarter? And then building plans for what you're going to add in the quarter after, the quarter after that. What are some things that you should put on your list to implement next year? It's not an all or nothing proposition. And then also, don't tell yourself that just because you have a limited budget, maybe you don't have authority, you're not the business owner or manager, maybe you don't have the expertise. Let's be clear, probably none of us have the none of us are expert marketers, but we all need to be better marketers. And then as far as time, I don't know anybody who tells me that they have an abundance of time that they're looking to fill with. I'll share with you some ways that you can implement some of these things in ways that are less time consuming. But I also want you to think about the big picture. The time that you're investing in implementing any of these other channels should be paying a result. It's one of the things that I'm going to encourage you. I'll mention this later in the presentation, but I encourage you to measure the result of what you're getting out of your investment of time and money into any of these channels, because the big idea is that that investment should be returning and returning handsomely. And if it's not, then it's not worth the time. But if you can invest some time and get a bigger bang for your buck than pounding the phone mechanically and robotically, then you're going to find that you're freeing yourself up. You're increasing the time that you have available to do other things. So where do you start? First of all, I would take a look, if you go back to the graphic with the cloud and the many channels of lead generation, take a look at what you are already using. I'm a big fan of looking at what are you already doing and what's working. And if there's something that you're doing that's not working, I would start there. I would start there by either eliminating it, and that's going to free you up with additional money or time to pursue other things, or figure out how to make it work. So for example, social media is a big one. I know that there's been a lot of buzz and a lot of talk about how you should definitely, if you're not getting involved in social media, you're missing a big opportunity. Well, maybe not. Maybe the investment of time that you're putting into social media is netting you nothing, which is what I hear from a lot of recruiting and staffing firm owners is, I'm not really sure why we're doing this. We're investing time in posting stuff on Facebook. We've got Twitter. We've got all these different social media accounts. And as far as I can tell, it's just a time suck. If that's the case, then maybe you need to reconsider how you're using social media or ways that you can improve it. So I would start by looking at, and I'll share with you some suggestions on social media too, by the way, but look at what you're already using. You're already doing some of these things. What are you doing and what's working? Is it working? Secondly, I would look at what your competitors are using. I certainly did that. I do it on a regular basis. First of all, I follow most of my competitors on social media so I can know what they're saying about themselves and about other things that I'm interested in. But look at what your competitors are using, and then you have an option of either pursuing a Me Too or something new strategy. And a Me Too would be just like it sounds. Okay, our competitors are all doing blogging, so we should too. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you need to do something completely different. Now, for us, we are a regional staffing firm. We have 5 offices in the Seattle metro area. We have one in the Portland, Oregon market, Portlandia, and another one getting ready to launch in the Portland market. So we are a local brand, and so part of what we have done is really draw on that local brand, that local things that we are able to do better than our national competitors by virtue of being a local brand. We've also really leveraged the fact that we have embraced the HR community. A lot of our industry, I know, likes to do battle with the industry, and believe me, I have my own axe to grind with some of my HR friends. But the reality is, we have found that we have made a lot more money by making friends with HR, and so we've embraced that, and we've really played to that strength as well by doing a lot of our marketing directly to the HR community, and that's paid off. That's something that's worked well for us, and that may or may not work well for you, but it starts with understanding where you're different than your competitors and how you can leverage and play up that difference, and where you need to be similar. If there's something that they're doing that you feel like by you not doing that you're missing out, then maybe it would make sense for you to step into that as well. But I would encourage you, just I guess as a side note, just don't be a Me Too. I mean, there's some areas where it makes sense to be a Me Too because by not being there, you're noticeably absent. But if all you're doing is Me Too marketing, then that's not very interesting, and you shouldn't expect to get a better result than your competitors if you're just doing similar types of marketing. And then what fits your target audience? I mentioned to you that HR is a big target audience for us. We have found that HR has been very slow to adopt Twitter, for example. Now, if I was an IT staffing firm, which I'm not, but if I was an IT staffing firm, I would probably invest more into Twitter and other channels of communication that speak more to that audience. If I was placing, all marketing folks, I would probably invest more of my time into Twitter. But what we have found is that very few of our target audience are on Twitter. So we have sort of a placeholder Twitter account. Everything we put on Facebook automatically cross-posts to Twitter as well, but it's just not something that we have chosen to invest heavily. We're not putting any new unique content on Twitter because we just found that it doesn't pay off for us. But for you, it might. So it's all about understanding your target audience. We have made the decision, for example, with Facebook to speak to our candidate market. We do have clients who follow us on Facebook, but we have found that by and large, HR professionals are not looking to Facebook as their source of professional content, and so we're focusing our time and our energy on using Facebook to communicate with candidates and our field employees. Look for opportunities to outsource or automate. I'll talk to you more about that more specifically later in the presentation. And then opportunities to partner. You don't have to do this all alone. One of the things that we have found really effective is finding other people who are trying to reach the same target audience and partnering with them to produce content. Or, in the case of outsourcing the content creation. So I am not paid by Haley Marketing. I am not sponsored by Haley Marketing, although by the end of this presentation you may think that I am, just because I'm a very big fan. A lot of what we've been doing with marketing has Haley's fingerprints on it. But for example, with outsourcing, I've made the decision. I love to write, absolutely love to write. Before I got into staffing, I thought I was going to go into journalism, so love to write. And so I had thought, I'll write all of our blog content. That'll be fun for me. Well, fun if I had the time to do it, and I just simply don't. And so what was happening is that it was the lowest priority thing on my to-do list, and I'm finding myself spending evenings and weekends writing blog content, and that's not fun for me. So I've outsourced that to Haley. It's much more cost-effective for me to have them do it, and it gets done, frankly. I mean, now I know that I can count on 4 blog posts a month, and I don't have to think about it. I just have to approve the content, and they take care of the rest. So looking for ways to outsource and then opportunities to partner. I'll share with you some other specifics about that. So here are my top 4. If I had to choose only 4, and I was just asked this recently. I do some speaking and consulting in the industry, and I was invited by a group in Colorado to come speak with them. And somebody raised their hand and they said, if you could do just one thing marketing-wise, what would you do? And these are my top 4. So it's not my top 1, but the number 1 by far would be turning your website into an ATM. The other would be to get smart about how you're using social media. Third is to produce some kick booty content. And then 4, partnering up for profits. And let's talk more specifically about that. So turning your website into an ATM, this is an actual screenshot of our website. And 4 points here. First of all, it's all about SEO. And I would tell you, several years ago, I did not know what SEO was. I didn't know how to spell SEO, let alone know what SEO was. I'm joking. I knew how to spell SEO. But SEO is search engine optimization. It is absolutely critical. I don't care how good you are at what you do. If people don't know about you or they can't find you, it doesn't matter. Right? It would be like if you were the hottest restaurant on the planet. You're top chef master and you're running a restaurant, but nobody can find you. You're going to be out of business. It's the same thing now in the digital marketing world for staffing. Best of staffing, you see these badges on our website. We're very, very proud of that. It doesn't mean anything for us to have that recognition if nobody can find us. So it's all about SEO. Think wiki. Wiki is, by wiki I mean Wikipedia, right? So what the mindset that I have when I'm updating and keeping the content fresh on our website is, if I'm a prospective customer or I'm a prospective candidate, is everything I need to know about how to do business with this company found on this website? That's what they're looking for, right? There shouldn't be a lot of mystery. If your thought process is, I don't want to give away too much information, I want them to have to contact me so that then I can convert them, forget about it. That's not the way the world works. The way the consumer thinks, both on the, both on the candidate side as well as the client side, is, I want to do research. You saw that statistic, about 60% of customers said that the bulk of their research was done before they ever made contact. That's the same way your consumers are thinking. So make sure that you think through, what does a candidate need to know? What does a client need to know to feel comfortable choosing me? This website is a lot more robust. Our website is a lot more robust than it was even a year ago. We've added a lot more information in. Needs to be mobile friendly. We follow this statistic. I'm keeping track of our Google Analytics, and I'm finding that more and more our website is being accessed through mobile devices, through iPhones, Androids, what have you, and so all of our content is optimized for mobile, especially our search jobs function, so that job seekers and applicants can look on their phone. That is their device of choice. Or increasingly the device of choice by which they're accessing our website. And the 4th point here is about fresh content. Google will reward you in terms of search rankings. They will reward you for having fresh content. If the content on your website never changes, your SEO will suffer. And I should just issue a disclaimer at this point that what I know about SEO is I have a very loose grasp on the concept. I rely on my external partners, particularly Greg Everhart at Haley Marketing helps me with my SEO. But I do know that I have to keep my content fresh, otherwise my search rankings go down. So how important is SEO? Let's talk about this. A recent study of search rankings showed that 18%, now think about in your own world. If you think about what you Googled, Italian restaurant in Philadelphia, right? You're going to get search results back from Google or Bing or whatever search engine you prefer. 18% of you click on the first search result, 10% on the second, drops 7% on the third, and then 5% on the fourth. What does that tell you? If you're not in the top 4 search results, 40% of the market will not find you. Okay? If they're looking for you by name, that's a different story, and I'll share with you ways that you can get them to be looking for you by name. But if they're just Googling staffing in, name your town, you want to be in the top 4 results Otherwise, 40% of the market is not going to look beyond that. You know that's true, right? I mean, when you Google Italian restaurant in Philadelphia, you're going to look at the first page of results, maybe the second, maybe. By the third page, it's in a foreign language, right? It's in Arabic or something, and I don't read Arabic, and so I'm not going to be on the third page, and neither are your prospects, so you need to focus on SEO. Pleased to say, based on the work that we've done, consistently I'm testing how we rank on key search strings, and this happens to be one of them, staffing agencies Seattle. There we are, number 2. Actually, number 1 for organic search. Randstad paid for the privilege of being number 1, but we organically are at the top of that list consistently because of the work that we're doing. And that's not by accident, and that's not insignificant because that has a dollar value, right? When I shared through the 18% click on that first link, that's how we're getting so much inbound traffic, lead generation-wise. Here's some SEO tools if you want to do SEO yourself. I personally don't recommend it. I don't cut my own hair. I don't change my own oil. I don't do my own dental work. I don't do my own SEO. So let me just say that right up front. I have outsourced that to experts. Greg Everhart at Haley is my go-to guy for SEO, and he's done great work for me. But if you are a do-it-yourselfer and you want to do this, or if you're just a geek like me who likes to pretend like you know what you're doing with SEO, here's some great tools. So, for example, SEMrush.com lists every keyword that your site ranks for and also your competitors. I like to do that just for fun because I'm goofy like that. But one of the things that I discovered recently by plugging in some of my key competitors' websites, you can see how many external links are linking to your site as well as to your competitors' sites. First of all, I was surprised how many links are coming into our site, which is awesome. But it was less than my competitor. And when I looked at which sites were linking to their site, it gave me ideas of how to form relationships with other websites that I could get linked to. So fun to play with this stuff. So SEMrush.com, SEOmoz.org, they're a Seattle-based company. They have a great blog if you're very interested in search engine optimization. Open Site Explorer is a free tool from SEO Moz, and then AdWords.google.com will tell you what are the search strings. So, for example, I showed you staffing agency Seattle. We don't really call ourselves a staffing agency. Agency wasn't really part of our vocabulary. But what we have found is that that's the way our customers look for us, and that's the way job seekers look for us. They look for a staffing agency in Seattle. And so those need to be keywords that are part of our SEO strategy in our website because it doesn't matter how we describe ourselves. We need to be describing ourselves in words that our customer and candidates use. It's a keyword world that we're living in for sure. So here's some SEO tools that you can play with. And if you're like me, you'll play with this just enough to realize that you need professional help. And then you'll call Haley or somebody or your other favorite SEO expert. All right, here's our contact form. Let me just share with you. This is a well-thought-out contact form, and it comes from our experience of studying what's happened when we've used other contact forms. So learn from what we have learned. You feel free to let my failures be your teacher. I shared with you earlier that we found that when our contact form did not offer them, and you don't see that in this screenshot. I apologize for that. But if I had taken a better screenshot and you could see further down on this form, you would see that the person filling out the form has the option of saying either email me or call me and providing their contact information. And we have found that has dramatically increased our conversion rate. There are certain people that just do not want to be called. Now, at some point, we're going to want to have a call, right? I mean, I'm not going to let us stay in this email relationship forever, but you have to ease into it. And what we found is that when we were, getting all drooling wolf and grabbing the phone and calling as soon as we got a contact form, we were scaring away certain prospects who really needed us to kind of ease into that with an email. So think this through. I would encourage you, this is something we're doing a lot more with right now, we're doing more training on how to convert inbound leads. It's a little bit different. That would be an entirely different webcast altogether, but it's a little bit of a different process. Not completely different, but slightly different when they're reaching out to you than when you are reaching out to them. We've also automated this. If you see down here in this section 3, please let us know where you're located. I have this all automated. One of the things I was finding too is that all of these inbound forms were going to one person, which is dangerous, of course. Anytime one person is the cog in a wheel, if that cog is on vacation or sick or who knows, then we had found that we were missing opportunities because they were all going through one person. And so now we have it built into the back end of our website that depending on what location they choose, that email gets sent to the branch manager of the closest office and CC'd to a marketing assistant who then also tracks that so that we can track our conversion rates. So remember, the goal is to make it as easy as possible to start the conversation and then ultimately to convert that lead into revenue. All right, LinkedIn, let's talk about getting smart with social. LinkedIn has been huge for us. We've really embraced LinkedIn and in a totally new way, and that is, first of all, making our company profile page much more robust, making sure that we have keywords there, that we're describing what we do. We have landed a number of new clients this year through LinkedIn, through people reaching out to us saying, I was doing a LinkedIn search and came across your company and I was impressed. That's cool. We'll take it. So a more robust company profile page. We have all of our recruiters joining groups that are relevant to the types of clientele that they serve and the markets that they're going after. And then we're very engaged in posting content, getting into discussions, tracking news. I have an appointment next week with a great prospect because I follow updates and I follow news, and I saw that somebody who had been a great customer contact for us in the past just recently changed jobs. And immediately reached out to her to see how we can work with her in her new company. And would she have called us if I hadn't seen that news? I don't know. I would like to think she would have, but I certainly am glad to jump on that sooner. And I'm taking her out to lunch to celebrate her new job and talk about how we can work with her, and that will turn into a new client. I'm sure of that. We also Facebook and Twitter we've really looked at as building our brand and building community, more so with Facebook than Twitter, just based on the target market that we serve, although for you it might be different. But the big idea here is this third bullet point about remember that the goal is to drive traffic back to your website for conversion. It's not just about posting stuff on Facebook and having a pretty Facebook page. It's about getting people to do something. So getting them to interact with you somehow, getting them to go back to your website to fill out an online application, getting them to go to the website to download an ebook, to download a white paper, to sign up for a webcast, getting them to do something, and again, pushing them back to your website, which is going to be I consider our website to be basically one of our salespeople, one of our most productive salespeople, by the way. This is a screenshot, very recent screenshot of our Facebook page. Just a couple of things that I would point out to you. First of all, the cover at the top, we had this professionally designed, and I would encourage you to make sure that your cover represents your brand well. I mean, it really is a branding opportunity, and so our mission is success stories created daily. That is front and center on this cover. Because it's our mission, but also we have chosen to use our Facebook page to communicate primarily with our field employees. We have 800 to 1,200 assigned employees working for us on any given week, as well as our applicants and potential job seekers. So this is how we use our Facebook page. You see this most recent post here with a picture of one of our recruiters. Her parents were in town visiting, and so we hashtagged that Bring Your Parents to Work Day and got a lot of likes on that. The content that we have found gets the most traction. It is real pictures of real people doing real things. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of staffing firms doing is really just posting jobs on their Facebook page, and we have found, maybe it's different for you, but again, we test everything we do and we measure it, and we have found that we get very poor results when we post jobs. We would rather drive traffic to our jobs page on our website where there's a lot of jobs and there's an opportunity for them to fill out an online application. We don't, and we'll use big projects that we're working on or fun client stories to drive that sort of traffic, but a very specific job post we have not found to be popular. So these are the most popular posts in recent times for us. A picture of we opened our newest office. That's the front of that building. A picture of a team who's doing a community service project. We celebrated National Sunglasses Day. This is our Seattle group of our Seattle team wearing sunglasses, and then one of our recruiters had a new baby, and that got a tremendous amount of likes. How can you not like a brand new baby? Also, video has been big for us. Our top 2 video posts were when we released our 30-year anniversary video, and then also this video down the bottom is one of our recruiters who used to teach English in Japan. Here she's the video of her teaching Japanese students how to do the chicken dance. And again, is that relevant to the staffing business? No. Did it get a lot of likes? Yes. Did it get us a lot of new followers? Yes. All of those are good things. We've been doing a lot of video. These are just short videos, a minute or less usually, and any iPhone or Android now can take decent video. Our expectations of production quality on video are so low now, right? Everybody's about these viral YouTube videos. We don't expect it to be like a 3-camera angle or a 3-camera shot, and highly edited. We're doing a feature called Good Idea, Bad Idea for Job Seekers. And this goes on our YouTube channel. It gets cross-posted on our Facebook page, and these have been really popular. And our team has really enjoyed making these, which has been fun. We've really engaged the whole team to get in on that. We also are now Instagramming. We hashtag our pictures Life at Terra, and these cross-posts from Instagram to Facebook, and these have been wildly popular. I cannot explain why these are so popular, but they are. And again, it's all about getting likes, and the more your stuff is liked, the more likely people are to see it, and that's all good stuff. Okay, let's talk about producing great content. The goal here is to establish thought leadership, to really establish your expertise, answer questions, in some ways to entertain. Our videos are really more about entertainment, or edutainment, I guess, education/entertainment, and then again, it's all about SEO. It's all about tagging things and making sure that when people are Googling that they are going to find our content. And YouTube is one of the, I've heard different statistics, but it is the 2nd most used search engine, or so I hear, and so that's why we've invested time and energy into YouTube content. The things that we've done mostly have been webcasts. We have written articles, blog posts I mentioned to you that we've outsourced to Haley. Jenny Keller takes great care of us with our blog posts. Public speaking, I and other recruiters on our team have been finding more opportunities locally to speak about recruiting and about the talent market, and that has landed us some great clients as well. We've demonstrated our expertise we've recently expanded our website. We're continually adding content, and we have a whole new resource center, career resources and employer resources, as well as the Terra ebook library. That's all content that actually lives on Haley's site. It looks like it belongs to us, but I share that with you just so if you go there, you realize that I didn't have to spend hours. It would have been hundreds of hours to produce all this content. This is all content that I syndicate through Haley. Except for the HR Hotspot webinars, which have been really well attended. And these are all webcasts that we put on for the benefit of our HR clients and HR friends. We have one coming up at the end of this week on some recent changes in regulations locally regarding background screening. We generally are getting 50 to 100 people attending our webcast, so it's not like we're, it's not thousands of people, but that's a good number. We're pleased with that. And then we have an archive where all of these webcasts live, and so we can also share them with prospects if there's a relevant webcast that might be interesting to them. And it just differentiates us. It sets us apart from our competition, demonstrates our expertise, our commitment to the HR buyer, and then also SEO, all about SEO. Here's a sample recent blog post. But the big idea with the blog post is that what we do with it then, you see down here at the bottom, there's all those tags for SEO purposes, and then we share it. We distribute this out to all of our recruiters and ask them to share it on LinkedIn, share it on their other social media channels, and particularly sharing it in groups. And we're getting more traction on our content that way. This is a blog post that was written by one of our team, Jez Martinez. She loves to write, and I'm sure, if I have staffing firm owners on this call, I'm sure many of you have people on your team that have this, they're aspiring writers or they love to write. She happens to love to write, and so she writes a blog post for us about once a month, and her content gets shared a lot. I have an arrow pointing toward the like button there. 20 times people came to this blog post and shared it on their own Facebook page. It's not 2,000, but it's 20 times that somebody came to our website, liked this content enough to share it on their own Facebook page. That's pretty cool. That's extending our reach and extending our brand and improving SEO. All right, partnering up for profits. This is really a great way to extend your marketing reach and finding other people that you can partner with, sharing cost, sharing effort, so that you're both benefiting. So really asking yourself, who's already communicating with your target audience, who already has credibility with your target audience, and then who would benefit from partnering with you. So I'll give you an example. The webcast that we're doing this Friday is with a law firm. It's an employment law attorney. They are very pleased to get their name out to our, I don't know how big our distribution list is now. I think it's 5,000, 7,000 people on our distribution list. They're very happy to get their name out to that large of an audience, to HR buyers primarily, and it's great exposure for them. So I'm not paying people to do these webcasts. These are people who are more than happy to share their expertise, either just because they're generous or because they understand the value of getting their name out to that particular target market. So that's been very, very effective. Next month, I have somebody who's a local compensation expert talking about compensation trends in the local market. It's a great example of not trying to do a Me Too. Like one of our major competitors does their own salary survey. I don't have the resources to conduct my own salary survey, and so I'm partnering with this compensation expert who does a great local salary survey, and it gives us both more marketing traction. So always remember to measure the ROI. That I want to really leave you with this, that whatever you do, make sure that you're looking at the return on your investment. And sometimes it's hard to measure. I mean, I shared with you earlier, people telling us, I don't know how I heard about you, I just know of you. I love it when I go on sales appointments and I ask people, have you heard of Tara? Yeah, I don't know how I know you guys, but I do. And my thoughts of you are positive. They don't know why, but they are. That's cool. I can't always measure that. But there are some things I can measure. I can measure how many leads are coming in. I can measure how many likes we're getting. Facebook has all sorts of analytics that can show me, are things getting spread virally? What kind of reach are we getting? Google Analytics. Having your website set up so that you're getting the analytics out of that to see how are people finding you, what are the search criteria they're using to find you, and are you really maximizing that? Look for opportunities to double or triple up. So, for example, I shared with you the blog post that we post on our website, and then we share it on LinkedIn. So we're getting double mileage on that. People who come to our website find it, or maybe triple mileage, because we're also getting the SEO value out of it, and then we're also having content that we can share to make us relevant and draw attention to us on LinkedIn. Looking for opportunities to involve others, and by others I mean other people in the community, employment law attorneys, compensation experts, other people that would like to partner with you on marketing, but also your team. And I have found that the more we have 50, coming up on 60 employees in our company, and there's about 10 people that I have found in the company that love to write. They love to take pictures and post them. They love to submit things for Facebook. They're just into it, right? It doesn't take any extra time away from what they're doing. They're mostly recruiters. It's not taking any time away from them filling positions or interviewing candidates. It's just something fun that they enjoy doing. And we've actually built a social media team of people that really are into social media who help us procure content so that we're always posting fresh content. And we do post daily, by the way. We post at least once a day so that we're staying top of mind, which goes back to ROI. We tried to go to 3 times a week just to see if we could invest less time and get the same result, and it was disastrous for our metrics. We found that our number of likes, our reach, everything on Facebook went down dramatically when we cut back to 3 times a week. So we're now posting at least once a day. If we Instagram, then it goes up by 1 or 2 a day. Let's see, what else? Also using your vendor partners wisely. I partner with a number of people that I rely on that help me. That I don't want to be a marketing expert. I just like to pretend to be one. But I'm a recruiter. I'm a business owner. I'm a salesperson. That's my expertise. And I just know enough to know that I need other people to help me become a marketing expert because it's too huge an opportunity to squander to leverage these different marketing channels. So Haley is my go-to partner for most things marketing. I do have some other partners that I use as well, but that has been a phenomenal investment for me in terms of the return that I'm getting on that investment. Just like you tell your clients that they shouldn't be doing their own hiring, they should trust it to you because you're an expert, it really makes sense for you to trust an expert marketing partner as well. So think about it this way. It's about discovery, getting people to find you, then to consider you, and then converting them. And that also leads to retention. We're finding that all the work that we're doing around generating lead traffic on the client side and the candidate side is also improving our retention and our relationships with existing clients and with existing employees and applicants. As much as your prospects like your blog posts and your webcasts and your Facebook content and whatever else you're doing, the people who already have relationships with you enjoy it and benefit from that as well. And it just reinforces their decision that they made the right choice in choosing you as a vendor. So in marketing, there's the terms viral and sticky, and I think both terms are gross. Actually, I don't know why marketing folks have chosen such disgusting terms to describe effective marketing. But in Seattle, we have this really disgusting landmark. It's a gum wall, and tourists flock to this thing. And I just don't understand why we have something in our city that is known for being so sticky and gross. But that's really the big idea, is to make your content viral, make it sticky, get people to choose you and choose you in a way that allows you to convert them into customers. There's really more than one way to win new business. There's the Mr. Miyagi catching flies with a chopstick approach, which is its own art form, and certainly being able to convert an inbound lead into a customer is more of that sort of a precision sort of maneuver. But what I'm looking for with my marketing efforts these days is this. And you thought the gum wall was gross. This is even more disgusting. This is some sort of a super effective non-toxic fly trap. But the big idea here is catch thousands of flies, and then you see at the bottom, 18 billion flies can't be wrong. Nobody's asking the flies. I think they might feel pretty wrong at the point that they're inside that trap. But my point in sharing this is that you can either go after your customers one at a time, like a Mr. Miyagi with chopsticks, or you can widen that funnel and you can use many, many more methods and channels for generating leads. So with that, I want to close with wishing you happy catching, and because I couldn't leave you with a picture of a disgusting fly trap, I leave you with a picture of an adorable kitten catching flies. And that's my hope for you, is that you find one or more of these channels is effective for you to increase the number of leads that are coming into your business, and you turn those customers into, or you turn those leads into customers. And with that, I think we have just a couple of minutes for questions. Do we have any questions?
We definitely do, Jennifer, and thank you so much for all of the information that you provided here. It's at times, we can feel like here at Haley Marketing we can talk to we're blue in the face about all the great tactics and what people should be doing, but to actually hear what another staffing firm is doing and the success that you guys are having really just drives that home. So thank you very much for all the information that you provided. We do have a couple quick questions here. I know we're coming up to the top of the hour, but if everybody wants to hang on, we do have some pretty good questions that have come in. Getting back to to cold calling, Alan wanted to know, how often do you leave a message when you're calling a cold prospect, and what is your message when you call?
Yeah, that is, that's the age-old question. Like, at what point is it persistence, and at what point is it stalking? And I don't have a strong answer. I don't have a clear answer, I should say, for how often you leave a message. But the message should be varied. And so we're doing the similar thing with. We're mixing up the channels on the calling as well. So we're doing a combination of emailing and phone calling to prospects, so that they are getting both an email communication with us as well as phone messages. So we at this point, the sales campaigns that we're running with actual phone calling, we're sending an email following that up with a phone call, then maybe a day or two later, another phone call. If we don't get them in those 2 calls, then we send an email, and there's another phone call, and then we put them kind of back into the funnel. So what we have decided to do, we were experimenting with this, is not keep calling the same people robotically over and over and over and over. We're putting them through a 3-call, 2-email campaign that goes over the course of about 2 weeks, and if we don't make contact in that time period, we're either finding a new contact inside of that company or we're finding a different way to approach them. And in some cases, that different way to approach them may be showing up. I'm not a huge fan of the drop-in, but we do have some of our salespeople who have used it very, very effectively. And sometimes the drop-in helps you disqualify prospects too, which is its own, there's value in that as well. So as far as the message that we're leaving, it's all about the customer. So it's all about talking about that we have served others in their industry and that we've helped other companies in their industry be more effective, save time, save money, increase their production capacity through the effective use of staffing. It's all about a benefit statement in that message, not just about, hey, you want a temp. It's about helping them and a strong value proposition in the message.
Great. Tricia was wondering, and this is a question I know that we get here quite a bit, do you allow followers to comment on your Facebook page? And if so, how do you deal with any negative comments that might come up on your page?
Yeah, we absolutely do. We've run into this. Yeah, we've had some people who've had some, fortunately, mostly positive comments. We definitely let people comment on our Facebook page. We only take comments down if they're inappropriate, and by inappropriate I mean foul language, hostile in terms of like overly polarizing, like politically or something like that. But if they just say, hey, I think if you go to our page, you'll see one that said, I submitted an online application a week ago and nobody's called me yet. It's not like super hostile, but it's somebody who's got a complaint. We leave it there, and I think it's legitimate. And I think there's a real danger in censoring people's comments because then you don't have an authentic conversation. So we take things down only if we think it would be offensive to other people who view it, not if it just offends us because it makes us look bad. If we deserve to be criticized, we'll take the criticism. And we have apologized on Facebook publicly for people who have had concerns about different things. So it doesn't happen very often, but I think it actually adds to our legitimacy when people see that we're willing to be real and leave that stuff on there.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask a follow-up question there. Will you actually respond to the people right on the page so that others can see that you're addressing the issues?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there may be additional follow-up offline, obviously, to get into more nitty-gritty details with them. But, it would be something simple like, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Somebody from that branch will be in contact with you to see how we can solve your problem. Just something like that. We don't go back and forth. But yeah, we want people to see that we're addressing it head-on.
Excellent. One other quick question from Melissa. She wants to know if do your account managers make calls as well as your sales staff, or is it just limited to your sales staff?
Everybody sells in our company to some degree or another. So yeah, we our account managers are we call them business development managers, are our salespeople, and then our staffing supervisors are our account managers. And yeah, everybody's making calls to some degree.
Excellent. Just one other quick, that's it for the questions, but we did have a bunch of people ask for a full-size version of the multimodal lead generation. What I'm going to ask our social media team to do is post that onto our Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/Haley Marketing or on our Twitter page at Haley Marketing, I'm going to ask them to put that image up because we've got quite a few requests for that. And I think that's a really good bit of information that people can use as a checklist to make sure that they're doing as much as they can to get out there and generate leads for their company. So that'll about do it for today. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. We had a tremendous turnout. And Jennifer, again, thank you so much. This information was so invaluable. I think people really got a lot of good information about it. Just wanted to do one quick plug for our next Lunch with Haley coming up in September, one that I'm actually going to be taking part in, Email Marketing Success for Staffing, taking email beyond the inbox. And that's going to be on September 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and as always, you can reserve your spot at lunchwithhaley.com. So, Jennifer, again, thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar.